So we're looking really at animation and activation, as we like to call it at Datacove. And our topics are going to focus really around feeling empowered, that you know that storytelling is an innate skill and that we can action it instantly, no matter what level of skill you have turned up with today. Going to be able to identify, be able to apply statements that evoke emotion to inspire change. We're going to grasp good data literacy to convey information effectively and become inspired and reflect how skills could be applied to your challenge as well today. So storytelling, it's as old as time, right? We have to start from the beginning and understand that it's as old as humanity. We inspire action through great stories that resonate with our audience. And it isn't a new concept. It's been happening for thousands of years. Stories help people to survive, learn, pass information in a seamless manner, whether that was through folklore, myths, homemade recipes, or actually just laughing at our favourite films together. We can all recognise that it's actually a way to bond really well. Storytelling is an innate tool. Everyone can learn to do it and understand it. We're wired to learn through narrative rather really than through facts or raw numbers. Storytelling is simply an information network. Going back to the Stone Age, we had illustrations, stories around open fires, drawings on walls, and then we got to the point where we even had a printing press to revolutionize distribution, and into now the digital media and AI world as we know it, giving us a new level of engagement and attention-grabbing material. Storytelling isn't just an art, it's the backbone of cognition. And what we've come to realize is that stories are all about mastering influence over our opinions, mood, and public action. And we can see this as well demonstrated in day-to-day life. So let's think about the news and the stories that they tell. This is an example that we're all exposed to all of the time, and they often use techniques to evoke a certain opinion or even action out of us, depending on what channel that you're watching. I'm not going to go political, but you can see that it's highly in action all of the time, and it masters your influence. So let's talk a little bit about how is data storytelling structured, because it's all well and good that we can understand it in films, in books, in the news, in other elements, but we need to understand each element to apply it effectively to our day-to-day jobs, or perhaps to a new skill that we're trying to master here. It is really just the practice of transforming data into something magical, a compelling and clear narrative that helps drive an audience into making the right decision. It requires data, accurate, relevant facts to ground our story, a narrative that brings and explains what it means and why, and a visual that helps animate and brings our story to life, all with the hope that we'll bring our audience on a journey to the right decision. But when this isn't executed well, it often isn't the case. We don't end up with our stakeholders or our clients making the decision and being fully on board with the story that we are trying to tell. So that's what we want to try and solve today. So we've obviously been saying that we're all prone to going to boring meetings, whether we want to avoid them, whether we don't. So how can we really nail the action when it's actually us who's hosting that boring meeting? Because maybe we don't think that we are boring, but sometimes, unfortunately, the meetings we lead are. You may be thinking that now, listening to me talking. If you do, just keep that to yourself. So as we've already explored, we know that stories transport and transform human minds and can control cognition. It's almost like a concentration technique, right? It's like being teleported into a whole new world. We create mental imagery. We can become emotionally attached to characters, resonate with the journey that we're being taken on, and help us get on board with solutions. So let me give you a bit of an example, right? I, very, very late to this show, so no judgment, watched Breaking Bad not too long ago because my partner bullied me into doing it. I assume most of you have seen that because it came out like 10, 15 years ago. It's just me who's lazy. And after watching it for 6 seasons, one of the very lovable characters die. I'm not going to say who, in case you're as bad as I am with keeping with the times. But I was so upset that I now refuse to watch any of the follow-on series about it. And I could probably never start it from the beginning ever again, knowing what is coming, because it just broke my heart. So do you see what I mean by how captivating like stories can be, right? I was fully teleported there. I created an emotional attachment to this person who doesn't exist, and I resonated with them. It left a long-lasting memory. And I want to be able to take what I have learned from stories, from films, and put that into my work to be able to make what I do a lasting impact on who I'm talking to. So for me, I want to use words to evoke emotion. And there's a few ways that I like to do this. We know they're really important for the audience. So how can we learn to use that language in our storytelling that causes us to create this heavy focus of attention from our audience? Well, we can evoke emotion by framing our insights. One of these things is by humanizing our challenge. Data isn't just numbers, they're people. So instead of telling me that churn increased by 8%, because really, what does that mean to the everyday person? They may not know what churn means unless you're talking about butter. So try saying things like, we're losing customers that we worked hard to win, and create a sense of concern and urgency. We could use visuals as an amplifiers. Humans respond to patterns, so use language that walks you through that mental imagery. We don't want the audience to do the hard work. We're going to create it for them. So say the amount of customers that we won this year could fill the whole of the O2 arena. That's understanding. It's vivid intuition. Show the consequences. Humans are typically risk adverse rather than in pursuit of gain. So what the data implies if we do nothing, create a sense of fear. An anchor in an arc. Having a story framework allows people to follow your points easily and get on board with later direction. So create some curiosity and some empowerment from the way that you use your insights. So we're going to talk a little bit about visuals now. As you probably remember in the last slide, we were talking about how visuals are a part of anchoring as well. And we need to make sure that our visuals are very effective so that people have clarity and emotional understanding as following along with our story. So we want to convey through multiple elements that build together to make this possible. And each part of a chart is a building block. So we should be careful to have one clear, defined point conveyed per slide when using our visuals. So we can talk a little bit about colour. The colour of a chart can signal the attention or the risk. The size can convey importance. The shape can even create a narrative. Clarity can grow intuition. And understanding then allows empowerment that they've gained from the previous steps, resulting in easier alignment and actions after responses were generated. And we know that not everyone is data literate, so that's why it's so important. A recent survey only found that 13% of UK employees actually feel fully confident in their data literacy skills. So we want to put together some ideas of what the best practices are for visual storytelling, how to improve our charts and make sure our audiences are on board with our insights. So we want to remove chart junk. Remove all the visual elements like patterns, over-detailed legends that makes it harder for the viewer. Like we've just seen, that pie chart is quite terrible. We want to use pre-attentive attributes, visual properties that we process fast, so like a logical colour, size, position, orientation, length and shape. So like obviously we saw on that Trump one, where there was quite a big gap, so we processed that he'd done much better than Joe had when that wasn't really the case. That's the opposite of what we want to make. We want one clear insight. We want to give our graph one clear insight that can be taken away easily. Highlight only the relevant data, as Fiona was kind of saying with the pie chart there. And choose the right chart as well. Selecting the wrong chart type can hide insights instead of revealing them. There's quite a few good documents online and guidance about choosing the right chart.